All right, so we're live. So I wanted to talk about the last episode of Game of Thrones. I actually got a little bit of traction with my last Game of Thrones video. I actually had some comments from people I don't actually even know, which is really awesome. That's always a great moment on YouTube when someone comments that you don't know. So anyway, I'm even have my Night's Watch regalia on because that was always my favorite thing. But of course, they kind of ruined the Night's Watch. But let's talk about the episode first and foremost. Okay. So if you've seen my previous video, there's no surprise that I think Game of Thrones has really turned a bad corner. This last episode kind of continued that, and I just want to hit on some points from the last episode. We're talking about season 8, episode 4, which was on just last night. So I guess we should start from the beginning. First of all, the fan service is very, very heavy in Game of Thrones right now. It's really, really bad. Um, what we saw in the hall during the party, uh, it just seemed terribly unnecessary and really disappointing. Specifically, they have this thing, obviously, where they were trying to isolate Danny. That was very obvious. That's just a motivation for more soap opera, uh, more of the petty politics, which I'm kind of disgusted with at this point. But in addition to that, uh, they had these like little fan service moments. Like a lot of people on YouTube were like, "Oh, the Hound and Sansa finally had their moment." I was just like, "Okay." And also the implication of that conversation, where basically Sansa is saying her being raped is part of the person she is today. And I think there's a lot of people that would have some real problems with that, saying the fact that I was sexually assaulted is very relevant to the person I am today. And implication, I guess, is that she's stronger because of it. She's stronger for having been sexually assaulted. That's the implication that I heard. But that was a fan service moment. I know there were people that were saying, "Oh, Sansa and the Hound never got their moment." I'm kind of like, who cares? The Hound used to be one of my favorite characters. He's destroyed beyond recognition. I mean, really, they really screwed up the Hound. And to go forward with it, because I don't even want to deal with the Hound anymore, is of course we're getting Clegane Bowl, right? You know, the motivation for the Hound, you know, that he has to fight it out with his zombie brother, who pretty much is just as much a victim as anybody else of Cersei at this point. I mean, the guy is a zombie. Okay, um, he's an undead. He's Frankenstein, essentially. But the Hound has to go kill him, has to go fight him because the fans demand it. Who knows? They might do something crazy, subvert your expectations, as they say, right? But I found it unnecessary. The whole hall scene I found unnecessary. And one of the things that I really disliked, and this kind of goes into the whole fan service thing, is we had this sort of love triangle that was developing very quickly in this season between Brienne, Jamie, and Tormund, right? Because obviously the fans all wanted to see Jamie hook up with Brienne, and you got your wish. All the fan service people got their wish. Oh, they got to hook up. That's great. Isn't that wonderful? That's so wonderful that Brienne gave up her virginity to this idiot, to this jerk. I don't like Jamie. I've never liked him. I don't understand people that do. I think he's a despicable character in Game of Thrones. So I don't understand the people that like Jamie. I just don't get it. I heard he's a lot better in the books. I am aware of a lot of the book material because I'm a spoiler guy. So I will look up descriptions both based on the television show and also based on the book. So I do know that Jamie seems to be a much more compelling and dynamic character in the books. In the TV show, I think he's just a selfish, worthless prick. And I can't understand people that like him. I just don't. And then I like Brienne. I thought Brienne is a great character. It's one of those rare examples where you have this quote unquote strong female character where the physicality works because the actress has that physicality. She's a tall, large woman, you know? So it makes sense that she's tough and all that kind of stuff. And I like her story arc. I'll even give you that I kind of liked her becoming a knight. I thought that was cool, but still, um, her hooking up with Jamie was just so lame. And it's fan service. That's the bottom line. But the thing that really disappointed me with it was we have this sort of budding love triangle that's formed with Tormund, and Tormund's like all upset. He's heartbroken. Tormund's heartbroken. And so he goes and he just shacks up with some random girl. That's pathetic. That's really bad writing. This is Game of Thrones. This is supposed to be tragic. It's supposed to subvert your expectations, right? Tormund should have like challenged Jamie to a duel or killed him or gotten himself killed, you know? Something really crazy like that. What happened was cartoonish. It was buffoonish. Uh, but you know, Tormund more and more seems to be being played up for comic relief, you know? But I thought Tormund, in my opinion, was a much better match for Brienne than Jamie. But even if they wanted to do it that way, you could have done it in a way that was more tragic, more compelling. Make Brienne make a real serious choice here that has implications. You know what I mean? Like it has real implications because her choosing Jamie alienates Tormund and causes a rift and a fight between them. But you know, with so few episodes left, there's no way to develop that anymore. So it just goes nowhere, and Tormund hooks up with some random girl we've never seen before, and that's it. And Brienne hooks up with Jamie, and all the fan service people are happy. So that irritated me. That irritated me a lot. Like I said, the whole hall scene was pretty much worthless. The only thing that's maybe relevant to the story is Gendry. Gendry finally getting legitimized, which I think everybody knew was going to happen at some point. He's the only Baratheon left. Although the question when Danny said, "Who is the Lord?" I'm sorry, I can't remember what the land is called, what the castle is called for the Baratheons. Stonehorn or I can't remember it. But she says, "Who's the Lord of that place?" And nobody knows. That's kind of stupid. Okay, somebody is in charge of that castle at that point, even if it's someone that Cersei appointed or whatever. I mean, there's somebody there. And that leads into another issue that I'm going to try to address later. I hope I can come back to it. I want to keep my videos somewhat short. I'm already going kind of long because I'm already kind of going off on this stuff. So let's hit the high points or low points, really. I think most people are really upset about the dragon. The way the dragon went down was stupid. It makes no sense. But let me tell you something, if you don't understand this. The way aviation started in warfare is with balloons, all right? And you do know what the balloons were used for? They were used for observation, reconnaissance, okay? The very first airplanes that were ever deployed in warfare were used for reconnaissance, okay? They didn't even have guns on the first airplanes like in World War I. There were planes that didn't have guns on them. The way dogfighting started was pilots would carry rifles or pistols with them and started shooting at each other. And then that's, as the war progressed, they started putting guns on the planes. So the first thing about any force that has, especially we're talking about a medieval type force that has the ability to see from the air, is that reconnaissance would be a huge advantage. And yet they don't do that. And other people also pointed out Bronn, again, is worthless, useless. He could have told them that the Iron Fleet was waiting for them, but he didn't, because Bronn is completely, utterly worthless. Again, in a situation where he could have been a deciding factor, but we need to kill off a dragon and make this more even, I guess, or I don't know. I don't understand it. It's really poor, bad writing. It really is. So we lost another dragon, and this leads to a bigger point of where I think we first saw the cracks in last season, because I say season 7 really showed us that the writing was going downhill. They were running out of material. The Hollywood hacks were just trying to figure out what to do because they were running out of material. And the first time that I knew something was wrong with Game of Thrones was when Danny, I can't remember if it was the first episode of season 7 or if they actually did it at the end of season 6. I think it was the first episode of season 7. But regardless, it was around that time period. When Danny shows up at Dragonstone, there's nobody there. Okay? That is utterly ridiculous. Okay? I don't care how desperate the situation is. I don't care how bad it is. Nobody abandons their base of operations. Nobody abandons their castle. It doesn't happen. It does not happen. So even though the Baratheon forces did go up north to help the Night's Watch and all that kind of stuff, they would have left some kind of garrison at Dragonstone. So I could tell right there that was just a huge Hollywood stupid thing where they just left this huge plot hole. And I was like, if that's the worst thing they do, I can forgive it. But I knew we were in bad shape when that happened. And now it comes full circle where Dany apparently did the same stupid thing. She didn't leave any garrison at Dragonstone. Otherwise, they would have warned her that the Black Fleet is waiting for you. Or at the very least, they would have said, hey, we've lost contact with the garrison at Dragonstone. They stopped sending ravens. They stopped communicating with us because if there was someone there, they would have sent them a message saying, hey, we won. We're on our way back. Don't shoot at us. Don't be alarmed. That kind of a thing. But instead, once again, the implication is nobody was there, which is stupid. That's just really, really poor writing. That's really, really stupid. That would never happen in real life. Never happen in real life. The military does not leave bases abandoned when they go off to war. Doesn't happen. And it didn't happen back then either. It didn't happen in medieval times either. They didn't abandon castles unless they were, forced to, in terms of they lost. But even in a situation as dire and they say, oh, we need every man we can get. I'm sorry, that's Hollywood nonsense where we need every single man. No, you don't need a large garrison to defend a castle. You just don't, especially one that's on an island. It's a very strategic position in terms of being very defensible and hard to hit. In fact, the whole idea is that Dragonstone was the whole basis of the Targaryen dynasty, was that they were able to fight from Dragonstone. That was your base of operations. So it makes no sense that Dragonstone didn't have a garrison, that there was no one there. Doesn't make any sense, which of course leads to the death of the dragon. So going forward with it, not a whole heck of a lot else happened. They killed, I can't pronounce her name. They killed Dany's closest confidant, essentially, which I think is just a stupid thing because they're setting up all this betrayal stuff. Obviously, the soap opera is really going right now. And so they decided Cersei had to kill her because otherwise Jon or Sansa or Tyrion or Varys, is that how you pronounce his name? Would have killed her. Which is, why is Varys all of a sudden so concerned? And the other thing is Varys has been completely useless. He and Tyrion have been completely useless since last season. And in a lot of ways, since before last season, since before season 7, they have been useless. All their decisions are bad. This thing about the Black the Iron Fleet waiting for them. You think your head of intelligence might have known that, might have been able to help you out with that? Maybe, what's his point? How is he going to kill Dany? He didn't even know the Iron Fleet was there. What resources does he have all of a sudden that he would be able to move against Dany? He's been shown to be completely ineffective since season 7 because he didn't provide any intelligence. And then, Tyrion, of course, once again, wants to reason with his sister. Again, after he was just shown to be a complete idiot in terms of trusting her because she said she was going to send her forces up north to help them, and she didn't. Now he's going to try again, all based on this idea that, well, we don't want to kill civilians, which quite frankly, they didn't think like that back then. You know, I know this is a fantasy, okay, but even within the rules of this fantasy context, they sacked King's Landing in the last war when Robert took over. The Lannisters actually sacked and pretty much killed everyone in King's Landing. They massacred everybody. Okay, so even in the context of this world, that's not a big deal. Quite frankly, it's not. And in history, in this kind of era, it wasn't a big deal. So the fact that Tyrion and Varys are so concerned about that is just kind of stupid. It's just kind of stupid. I mean, if anything, it would have been nice if they had Dany herself say, "Well, I don't think I want to do this," but they can't do that because they have to go with this kind of Mad Queen thing that they started in the last season. In fact, I've called her the Mad Queen because of what she did and when she burned the Tarleys and things like that. Really upset me. Again, that's one of those cracks from last season where things started to go really bad. But now what she's doing is kind of coming out of nowhere. It's kind of stupid, and it's just to create drama. And I do want to make the point that if you're into the drama and into the soap opera, which a lot of people are, and I'm not saying I'm not into it. I was just disappointed that we lost what I thought was the main story, which is the apocalypse, the world-changing, world-threatening force. Instead, this is about the petty politics. It's about the wheel, breaking the wheel. I've heard that on other channels and other people talking. You know, Dany said she's going to break the wheel, right? That's what this show is about. Okay, fine, whatever. Well, if that's what the show is about, once again, they chickened out because not one throne contender, not one throne contender died. No throne contender. No throne contender died in the huge battle with the Night King, and no throne contender died last night in episode 4. None. Zero. And I do want to touch on Jorah, because Jorah was one of the last characters that I still cared about at all. And of course, they killed him. That's my luck. He's one of the last characters I cared about. I wanted the Night King to win. I wanted to kill everybody because I was so angry with season 7. And Jorah was one of the last characters I still liked. I really liked Jorah. In fact, I was one of the only people, as far as I know, that was saying, "Why can't Dany just be with Jorah? Why does she have to be with her nephew? It's gross, you know." But Jorah, I really liked, and of course, they killed Jorah. And one of the cheap things about killing Jorah is Jorah was actually a member of the Golden Company, and because these guys are such crappy writers, they could not give a satisfying explanation of that whole situation. Because I thought Jorah was going to be relevant in terms of actually going to King's Landing and negotiating with the Golden Company. Basically, like him and the commander were old buddies, or one of the generals or captains was one of his old buddies, and he's kind of like explaining the situation and would get the Golden Company to turn at the last minute, which would have been really cool, I think. I would have made Jorah really important, and you know, that's what I thought was going to happen. I figured that was going to happen, but these guys are such. There's two issues. First of all, there's too few episodes to do a story like that, and the second thing is these writers just are not that good. Without Martin's material, they're just not that good, and they couldn't come up with something like that. So they said, "Oh, let's just kill Jorah. Let's just kill him. That way, we don't have to even deal with the issue." So overall, was very disappointed. Yeah, this show has had problems since season 7, maybe even before season 7. But those were my major issues with the episode, and also a little bit of how this all started. So I'll be ending my stream. Please like and subscribe, and please comment. I would love comments, even if you disagree with me. I'd love your comments, especially on my specific points of what I'm talking about. As far as what your thoughts are, agree or disagree. because I definitely like hearing from people. So with that, I will end my stream and have a good day.